everyone. It's the SBP Podcast Mobile Filmmaking that you're listening to. And I am your host, Susy Botello. And this is episode 187.
We are Fade into Film.
Hey, everyone. We are here with our Fade into Film panelists, Joey Min and Ryan McDonald. Hey, guys. Yay.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
How's it going, everybody?
Hey, thanks for coming. It's summertime. It's super hot. No matter, Joey is in New Jersey. Ryan's in Utah. I'm in California. And all of us are hot. Doesn't matter where you are in the USA, it's hot. So we're going to try to be super cool for you guys and keep you cool. Hey, I don't know if this works with you guys, speaking of that, but have you guys ever watched movies about the Arctic or people stuck in the snow or Day After Tomorrow? One of those movies where people freeze to death during very hot weather, and it kind of does work somehow, and it cools you off a little bit.
I mean, that seems like kind of extreme, like watching people die from freezing, and it's like, oh, it's nice and comfy now. I feel better.
That's actually what I do. When it gets really hot, I watch movies like that, and it totally does. I think there's some psychology to it, and it works a little bit.
Well, we'll keep that noted, Susie. Once we find out that you,
I do remember walking out of
somebody down the street.
Wait, Ryan's got a story.
I remember walking out of Dark City, and because the movie is so set in the darkness and whatnot, that when I came out of the theater, and it was probably 4 when the movie ended, but just a blast of sunlight coming at me. After you sit so long in a movie where there's no sun in it, when that was kind of a big thing. And then I also remember feeling remorseful when I left the first screening of Avatar, and that kind of feeling of wow, that magical place that we went to does not exist. Now that I'm heading to my car, does not exist. But I haven't had one where it was a weather thing. But I've known people to be affected emotionally over how the weather works, and I just I'm not that person, so I can be happy in the wintertime and happy in the summer. So
yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah. So hey, I thought I had this, our last Fade into Film episode. We were talking up. We did great, by the way. It was a great show. But there was one topic that we didn't really go into, and I remember I said, we'll talk about that one during our next show. And so that topic is about finding extras for our films, especially obviously for indie films and mobile phone films. So I was wondering if you guys, let's have a little bit of a creative brainstorming. We're about to make a film, and we need some extras. Mm-hmm. And I know from experience, having worked on a feature film where we needed extras, and we just didn't have enough extras. And one of the people from, one of the crew members went to the local Starbucks. And it was a Sunday. We were looking for office people extras, people had just come out from their offices and they were outside. And because it was Sunday and it was at Starbucks, right? For some reason, they found a bunch of people that were dressed up, and they were wearing suits and things like that. So it kind of worked out. And we got about about 7 to 10 extras just from doing that. And we were all just kind of set up waiting for them. It's not like it took a long time to do it. Do you guys have any ideas?
I mean, I think nowadays it's a lot easier to find extras because there's a lot of services out there. I mean, you could post up casting calls, on like backstage.com or something like that, or just even Facebook groups. But I guess what you were saying, I kind of reminded me that story with like The Matrix. I think that one of the scenes for the clubs, they actually just went to like this S&M club and they just asked everybody there, hey, would you guys want to be extras in a movie? So they didn't have to dress all these people. These people already had all those crazy clothing, and I thought that was pretty funny.
Actually, I didn't know about that. I didn't know that story. Yeah, that makes sense.
Just dressed. Yeah, I mean, because that's a very specific look, right? Like that's gonna cost a lot of money to.
Yeah, I was gonna say something
people.
about like period pieces, right? Like if you're doing something from Victorian days or something like that maybe it would be a good idea to go. Like I don't know, but like in San Diego, there's like well in LA, right? Like there's medieval times. It's like I really enjoyed that. When I went. I don't know if it's even around anymore, but it's basically you go and you see a show of jousting and in medieval times, and they use these Andalusian horses, which is how we got in because my mom knew the guy that was running it, and they train these horses like they dance, right? They do this in Spain and stuff, but that would be a good place to kind of look for some people that already kind of have that gear. You know what I'm saying? To come out, and also maybe local theaters and things like that. What do you think, Ryan?
So you're asking somebody who their feature film had like no extras because it was set inside of a house, and then pretty much everything I do is at the micro budget level, but oftentimes, in my opinion, like the extras that you're looking for, at least at the micro budget level, everybody behind the camera is now all subject to the game. And
yeah, definitely.
So if it's one of those positions where it's like, okay, well, when we say cut, now move, kind of thing, then they're not holding anything. Just like jump in, we need you for background, kind of thing. And so oftentimes we find ourselves on the other side of the camera, just like kind of vicariously. And there's been times where I'm one of the people who are like, I am a character in the film, and predominantly, but I might also be in the background of another shot because I become like an extra in that sense, because you can't. I mean, it's, how it is. Like people, you're not really paying attention to the faces of the extras or the back of the heads of them.
You can also wear a hat or something like that just to make it a little, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But if even with the period piece thing, I'm sorry, but if I'm not making Barry Lyndon, so I don't know how to get that many like extras. And I would, as I've said before in the past, like maybe just make the art the aesthetic and kind of try to understand that you're not gonna be able to have that kind of a sea of people in a sense. But on the mobile film part, one idea that we talked about before in the past of our show is that how often are people really noticing that you're filming something when you're using a phone? And so aside from the idea of needing releases of people who you shot maybe straight on or direct and stuff like that were in the background, you could probably not probably, but we all know that you can get away with shooting in public, and a lot of people who are in the background don't really realize you're there filming a movie. So if you go to a concert, minus like, let's just say you had a scene in a movie where it wasn't the Foo Fighters, but in your movie it was said somebody else. Your characters go to see that music that you have the rights to, something like that, and then you just want to show them in the audience, like just enjoying the music. You could pull out your phone.
Yeah, there's some
and shoot that.
There's some legalities with things like that, but because they're but when it comes to public events and things like that, then out in the public, like parades and street concerts and things like that, then it's different But also, you want to be mindful not to focus in. Like, you wouldn't want to do like a close up in focus of some stranger in the background and they go to your shot of your protagonist or something, obviously. But you want to be careful with the framing and things like that. And you're right. As long as, and also there's the laws about children. Children in public are, they have rights that regular adults don't when you're out in public, But yeah, and obviously I'm not talking about a sea of people like the Titanic or, Braveheart or something like that. But just enough, to fill up a background enough to make it look real. I remember we were doing I just now remembered this while you were talking. Not that I wasn't listening, Ryan. And there's this one time where I was working on a film as a script supervisor, and they didn't have enough extras. It was in a bar. It was a bar scene, and they didn't have enough extras. The bar was closed. It was like noon, but it was really dark inside, and we had all the lights and everything. And they asked me to be in the background, and I really didn't want to, but I did. But I sat in the background with someone else at a little, one of the little tables and things like that. But speaking to what you're talking about, Ryan, also in that same film set that I was telling you about before, where we got on that same scene, the AD had to, come into the scene because it couldn't be just another extra. It had to be somebody that actually said a line. And so he was wearing a shirt, and I don't remember if it was like the Rolling Stones or something, you know what I mean, logo. And so he flipped it inside out just to do that one scene because of the branding, which is another thing to worry about. Have you ever, has that ever happened to you, Joey?
Yeah, I mean, you got to Greek everything. I guess that's the terminology.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I always, when I see films and people are shooting things inside stores, like stores are not public, and the brands got to be careful with the brands, right?
Right. But there is such a thing, though. Like, you can't, it's not like, I mean, you could have a can of, like, I don't know, soda or like Coca-Cola.
You can flip them around.
Part of your Yeah, but I mean, unless you're doing something crazy, like, oh, okay, like my story is about this serial killer that loves Coca-Cola and Coca-Cola gives him power to kill people, then I think Coca-Cola might have a problem with you, like if you put that out there. But at the same time, I mean, our films are on YouTube, and I really don't care about, because like I'm not getting, there's a lot of things that I get claimed for on YouTube, and it's like these companies that, rightfully so, because I don't, sometimes I just use people's music and stuff like that, and I, so
you're a rebel, Joey.
I'm kind of okay with that. It's not even that. It's just like, it's so. I'm not a musician, so sometimes trying to find the right feel, right music, or something like that, right? So my stuff gets claimed, and that's fine because I'm using popular music or whatnot. But because I'm trying to send a message, I guess, like, and I don't want to dilute the message because I want to, because I need to make money, so I use like these really shitty, like royalty free music that goes like doom doom doom, like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense at that point, right? So yeah, I mean, I guess, since I know we were talking about extras, I guess like I don't know how we got there.
Because
we started talking about there because we were talking about like rights for the extras, which kind of like led to like rights to the brandings and things like that. And by rights, I mean like the
intellectual property.
And it's their face, it's their property, and so you have to have like a clearance to use it. I think there's an ethical thing that should be there for any indie filmmaker. That if let's say we go to a rodeo and we're shooting somebody and I shoot like a kid who's got like ice cream all over his face. I think ethically I should chat with his parents and not use a shot like that kind of thing. Whereas like if again the background's like somehow blurred and things like that, what we're kind of leading into though is there a moment where how like are they going to catch us in that sense? Like if you use the music from somebody, like not the Foo Fighters, but somebody like maybe who's not as popular, like are they going to catch you as you do it? Like, I mean, because by all technicality on rights, like anything that's parody is pretty much open game. Like you can make a parody of Superman, but if you make a fan film of Superman, by technicality you don't have the rights. However, right now we could all Google it and find on YouTube 1,000 Superman fan films, and so it's really just a matter of like the studio who has the rights isn't really narrowing down on it.
Yeah,
and the person whose face that you put in there isn't.
But I think too, though, I guess going back to the whole topic of like finding extras, I think if you are, eventually you find out making films that you do need manpower. If it's not behind the camera, it's going to be in front. And you just can't avoid that, right? Yeah. Like as your stories kind of grow in size. And so I'm sure there's many ways to find an extras, but definitely a lot of places online and whatnot. And I'm sure you guys could just Google that. That's very simple. Like I said, backstage.com. But I think it's the whole I don't think that's really that hard finding extras. I think in any given community I'm sure there's people that would love to be or would love to know what it's like to act for a film or something. But even if it's just an extra, right?
It's possible that somebody who is starting out and is just listening to us now, like you offering up like backstage and whatnot, like that's even news to me. So they're hearing it and they're going like, okay, well that was, I found more information. So, So I think
I'm sure like on Facebook, like it must probably be easy to just look for a group within your area that's like, people getting into acting or something, just be an extra or something. If you can't use your friends and family, I feel like that's like the first group
start.
of people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say friends and family are like always the first people that you hit up for things like that. And even for your crew, especially we're talking about, indies and mobile filmmaking, to give people that opportunity. Not only Facebook, but, even on Instagram, Twitter, just any kind of a platform like that. There's also a bunch of forums. So should we say goodbye to our listener? By the way, I'm going to go ahead and leave on the notes like I did last time. Married and Loving It, Ryan's film, in case you wanted to watch it. And also I'm going to put a link in there as well, like I did last time, for Art School Dropouts for Joey, so that you can follow them, since we're always talking about what Joey does, and that's a big part.
Which we shouldn't really, because like that's not indicative to mobile filmmaking.
Oh, sure it is. You made Legend of
yeah, like that's one. I mean, I do, but see, that's the thing too. Like people don't realize how often I use mobile filmmaking as part of my workflow. Like I literally, for every film I make, I've already made it in phone form first before I shoot it with all of the actors and all of the equipment and stuff. I heavily am a big usage of mobile filmmaking. It's just that's that thing that I don't really put out in public because, that's like for me that's where my where I get my ideas and I see if it works or it doesn't, right? So
wait, so you're saying don't add Art School Dropouts Instagram?
No, I'm just saying you don't have to. We don't have to talk about what I do all the time.
No,
I'm here for you, Susie. I'm here for the podcast.
You're here to help me inspire our listeners. And I know you've met some of them already at our film festival as well. So
some of them are awesome. Yeah. Definitely, I still need to hit them up when I have particular.
And
projects,
there's more.
Right?
And the previous episode to this episode was Reka Shickley, who was also in the film festival, and she works on films and she acts. So yeah, we love having you on the podcast, and Ryan as well. And I'm just glad and thankful that you guys are part of the Fade into Film panel. So thank you very much. Say goodbye to our listeners.
Bye, everybody.
I'll see you guys.
Filming.
See you guys at the movies.